all of the biggest next steps for me that have cracked things wide open have come to me through meditation. All of them. When I hit my first 6 figures, what I did to get there came to me through meditation. But when I wrote my book, I wrote it because I was told through meditation that it was time to write my book. Like every big step that I've taken in my business that has worked out well has come to me through meditation. And so I love that. It's interesting in preparing for this. I'm thinking about all the collaborations and partnerships and all that stuff. And the universe was never once on my list, even though, like you said, that's the one that's with me all the time.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Creative Collaboration Show. Chuck Anderson here, and I've got another amazing guest here with you. And look, if you're on an entrepreneurial journey right now, and you've got a big project that you're working on, or a mission, or your world-changing idea, trying to bring it into the world, you're going to love what you're going to hear today, because today I have with me Bri Seeley, and Bri is, according to Google, the #1 entrepreneur coach. And Bri, I did check this out. I went to Google and I typed in entrepreneur coach, and you were definitely come up #1. So great job on that. And you know, if Google says so, then I think we should all believe that. So Bri, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's so great to connect, and I'm excited to chat.
Excellent. Well, we're going to dive in, and I think a great place to start is, to share your story. So we've already shared the fact that Google considers you to be the #1 entrepreneur coach, but that's not so descriptive in terms of what you do. So tell the folks, what you do, how you got started, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years, and I tell people the first 8 years of entrepreneurship I can sum up into one word: struggle. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was raised by an entrepreneur, and so I knew that I had that inside of me, and I was living in an area where I couldn't get a job in what I was passionate about. I had 2 degrees in fashion design and just didn't have an opportunity to get a job in that field. So I was like, well, I'll just start a little thing, a little side hustle, whatever. I had a day job as well. And so I ran that side hustle all the way from just small little projects like a custom bridesmaid's dress, or a custom flower girl dress, or a custom prom dress, all the way up to selling on Zappos.com, winning awards, being on the cover of the largest trade newspaper in America, dressing Toni Braxton. I have dresses go to the Grammys and on The Bachelor and all sorts of other fun stuff. And throughout that time, I really, really struggled. I had to learn a lot. I did it the hard way. I did it through trial and error. I did it through figuring things out on my own, and it was difficult. And actually, we're recording today. Today is the 7-year anniversary of me totaling my car and deciding to shut down and walk away from my fashion business. So I decided that day it was done. It was over. I was walking away. I was complete. And 2 weeks later, I was like, all right, well, I just hired this really expensive business coach, and now I don't have a business. So like, what am I doing? And I realized that women had been reaching out to me for years saying, you are doing amazing things in your business. Can you teach me to do what you've done? And at the time I was like, absolutely not. I'm a fashion designer. This isn't what I do. Mm-hmm. And then when I had all this space and was in the market for what my next business venture was going to be, I was like, well, it kind of makes sense for me. People are already asking me. I've gotten success in business. I know what I'm doing. And my day job at the time was as a counselor. And so I was like, well, I might as well combine my 8 years of counseling experience with 8 years of entrepreneur experience and start coaching. And so I did. And within 9 months, I had a 6-figure business, and it's just been kind of going ever since. Oh, and so this is my 7-year anniversary. Today's my 7-year anniversary.
Well, happy anniversary. And that's awesome. And I love how that happens so organically. And, that my origin story is very similar, where, people just start asking you for help. And it's like, no, that's not what I do. That's not what I do. But it's hard to ignore the signs sometimes when something is just meant to be, it's just meant to be. And it's like paying attention to, why are all these people asking me for help? And maybe I should do something with this. And so you did. And here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful. I had that space to kind of pay attention, and it doesn't always happen that way. But I am really grateful that I was open and willing to seeing it, because as it turned out, one, I had learned a lot. And then two, I did hire a coach who helped me then understand the transition that I was making from a product-based business to a service-based business and an online business. And I was able to, knowing what I knew, just pick things up really quickly. And one of the things I had done when I had my fashion business was SEO. And clearly that is how I've gotten to that, on top of, a number of other things, how I've gotten to be number one on Google. But yeah, it was completely organic and totally aligned. And it felt like, I know you're going to ask me a question later, and I'll tie this back in, but one of my favorite books is The Alchemist. So when we get to that question later, I'll tie back in why that's one of my favorite business books, even though it's not a business book.
Well, we'll definitely be talking about that, because one of the things that we like to do is provide resources that help our entrepreneurial listeners, our entrepreneurial family, to do and accomplish more in their business. So we'll definitely be talking more about that. And so, so how hard was it for you to decide to make the change, to make the transition? Because here you are in one business, and obviously, and I've had to let go of business ideas before, and I don't let go of ideas very, very easily. So what was it like for you when you noticed like people were asking for help? You're trying to stay focused on this business. And what was that like? And what was the ultimate decision point that caused you to go, okay, fine, I'm transitioning from this business to this business?
Yeah. So first thing I'll say is that I'm very spiritually guided. So I have a very deep meditation practice, and just, I'm really in touch with something that I consider to be more than or bigger than myself. And so part of the final kind of like nail in the coffin came through meditation. And it was, once it came through that, it was just something I couldn't ignore any longer. I had been burning myself out. I had been super just frustrated in my business. Like I said, I was struggling. Even though I was seeing all these successes, I was struggling and I was frustrated, and I wasn't making the traction that I wanted to make. I wasn't getting the momentum I wanted to have. And so when I heard that, when I heard through meditation, fashion isn't it, shut it down, walk away. For me, honestly, it was like a relief. I was like, oh, yes, I can let go of this burden that I've been carrying around now. That I love fashion, but this isn't it. And I don't know why, but it isn't it. And so it was relatively easy for me to walk away from it, because I just knew that I didn't want to be feeling that way every single day. I was burnt out. I felt like I was running on a hamster wheel, not getting anywhere, slamming my head against a brick wall every day. And I knew that that's not how I wanted to continue. And so it was relatively easy for me to be like, all right, I don't know why, but I'm being asked to walk away from this, and I have no idea what's on the other side. I didn't know until 2 weeks later that I was starting this business. So I just trusted. And that's, it's something that I think that entrepreneurs really kind of undervalue, is that intuitive piece and that kind of inner guidance piece. We all want the silver bullet. We all want the to know everything and to have the roadmap and have all the stuff. And the truth is that for most every entrepreneur, that inner piece is probably the best piece that you'll ever have in terms of what your next steps are in business development.
Yeah, I love so much about what you just said, but I mean, just listening to that voice while meditating, and it reminds me of what I like to refer to as the ultimate collaboration, since the show is about collaborating and partnership. But how about that collaboration and partnership with the universe, with spirit, with our inner selves? And we're always looking out here for the next great tactic, or that thing that's really going to just crack things wide open for us, and that business is just going to go to the moon. But, so much of what we need is already here, right? So I love that.
All of the biggest next steps for me that have cracked things wide open have come to me through meditation. All of them. When I hit my first 6 figures, what I did to get there came to me through meditation. But when I wrote my book, I wrote it because I was told through meditation that it was time to write my book. Like every big step that I've taken in my business that has worked out well has come to me through meditation. And so I love that. It's interesting in preparing for this. I'm thinking about all the collaborations and partnerships and all that stuff. And the universe was never once on my list, even though, like you said, that's the one that's with me all the time.
It seems to be a recurring theme on this show because with so many conversations that we've had, that it's come up where something has come through. They were hiking in the woods, or they were meditating, or just sitting and breathing and whatever it is. But there was this intake, this download that occurred, and it just seems to be a recurring theme. So I couldn't help but to point it out. And because ultimately that collaboration with universe, spirit, self, all of that, it's here to guide and it's here to help. So I know it wasn't the collaboration story that we wanted to tell, but I think it's an important one to tell. It's been a huge factor in my business as well, where, the ego part of me is always trying to manipulate and to create, or, I came up with this idea, so it absolutely must be this idea, even though the download and all the information is saying, no, you really shouldn't do that. You should do this over here. But how easy it is to become attached to certain ideas, and how difficult that path is versus if I just let that go and gone the way you told me to, it would have been so much easier. So yeah.
Honestly, there's so many things out there in the business world that say like, oh, this is the one path to success. If you just do this thing, everyone succeeds, from, the Facebook ad to the webinar to the sale, like everyone succeeds through that. I have tried that so many times and it has never worked for me. Like I have poured so much money into that strategy on multiple different occasions, and it has never once provided a return on investment. Yet I go through this meditation and I get told to do this free 7-day challenge and I make $100,000 in 90 days. Like, it's just, I think it's so undervalued and underrated. And don't get me wrong, I get stuck in the trap of wanting a silver bullet just like everyone else does. Like, wouldn't it be just easier to just have the answer? But it is true that every single big next step for me has come through the universe. Including that car accident. I fully believe that was a divinely guided accident that I needed to wake me up to the fact that I was not traveling down the path that I needed to be traveling down. And I was not paying attention to the signs about how I was feeling every day and allowing myself to open up to the bigger picture that was available to me.
I think almost everyone who kind of follows this kind of path has their wake up story. And, yours happens to be a car accident. And so, I don't like the car accident, but I like the learning lesson that comes from that, where you get to go, okay, my path, I was going here. That was not my path. I've course corrected now. And, that is super cool. So you're building this business, and of course we're talking about collaboration and partnership here. We've talked about one collaboration, which is universe, spirit, self. And so if we're more on the tactical side, as you're building your business, how has collaborations or partnerships with other entrepreneurs or other people, how has that played a role in the growth of your business?
I firmly believe that business is not something that you can do alone. I even look at the collaboration I had with hiring that coach. I hired her the day before my car accident. And she's the one I fully believe that has helped me get to where I am today. And that was 7 years ago. And having that collaboration 7 years ago, still, I emailed her like last year or the year before. And I was like, I just want to let you know that I am where I am in my business today because of me hiring you back in 2015. So that's a collaboration that took me really far. I also collaborate with my team members. I could not do what I do without my team members, without having that collaboration on my side every single day, helping each other be successful. I've also had other collaboration. I mean, this technically is a collaboration. I collaborate with podcast hosts, and I'm a podcast host myself, so I get to also collaborate with my guests. I just really, truly believe that we are not meant to do this alone. And so many entrepreneurs try to do it alone. And what happens is we just end up piling everything on our shoulders. And it's the kind of pressure that breaks people, not that turns them into diamonds. And so the more and more and more we take on and say, I just have to do it myself. I can't ask for help. I can't get anyone on to support me with this. It is something that I've seen over and over and over again, burn out entrepreneurs and just truly break them and lead them towards a path where they have to walk away from their business.
I love all of that. And did you have any examples of some of the things that you've done in your business, or whether it be skills or somebody did something for you or whatever? What are some of the types of things that you've been able to get done in your business through a collaboration?
Yeah, I mean, I have a collaboration with a speaking agent it's really great. And so we're able to help each other out and provide, value back and forth to each other. I provide value to her through my expertise. She provides value to me through giving me great opportunities. I have done collaborations with people where we do essentially like promotional swaps, where I get to share them with my audience and they get to share me with their audience. Right. And so, I mean, I always like to look at things as, equal exchanges. And when there's an equal exchange and both people win, that for me is like, it's a yes. If it's out of alignment or an unequal exchange, I don't like those kinds of collaborations. But really, truly, just partnering up with people in general is, even having conversations. I hosted a Clubhouse conversation a few months back, and I brought on like 6 or 7 different of my colleagues to just kind of speak about the mental health challenges that entrepreneurship has. And that collaboration in and of itself provided so much healing and so much kind of normalizing the entrepreneurial experience, that I know that not only did I walk away completely changed, but all of those panelists did. And then every single person that listened walked away with something as well. And, it's how I said, I'm about to speak at a conference on mental health and entrepreneurship, and same thing. I'm collaborating with them around, what is the best talk to help their audience through their journey of entrepreneurship and really having healthy mental health practices. And so, I mean, I look at almost everything in entrepreneurship as some sort of collaboration.
Absolutely. And as a reformed do-it-yourselfer, because the first 10 years, I think, were just a throwaway because I tried to do everything myself. And I grew up with that saying, it's like, if you wanted a job done right, you have to do it yourself. And that was my belief for so long. It took me a long time to let go of that. And working with others, big or small, doesn't matter. So much more gets done. And I love that. And you're absolutely right. This is a collaboration. Just this conversation, the sharing of ideas is a form of collaboration. So, Bri, when there's something in your business that you identify that you need, what is your go-to method or go-to source when you're looking for someone to collaborate with or to partner with or to bring something into your business? Where do you tend to go look?
So 2 places. The first place I go is always my people. So I generally have the belief that if I have a no love trust relationship with someone and they have a no love trust relationship with someone else, it's probably going to be pretty easy for me to know, love, and trust that someone else. So I'm always the person too that's giving out referrals. I made an introduction today for someone that needed a WordPress developer, right? And so that's kind of my quickest, easiest path to, like, I have to know someone that knows someone. Depending on what it is, if I'm looking for something like really specific, I go to Upwork a lot. And the reason I like going to Upwork is because you have to, let's see, when you go on someone's website, anyone can put any sort of testimonial on their website, right? You can write anything and put any photo up and voila, you have a testimonial. On Upwork, because it goes through the platform, it is actual legitimate testimonials that people have had experiences with this person. And so I like to do that because it's very clear, the level of work ethic, the level of skill, all of that stuff just kind of gets detailed out. So I use Upwork a lot when I'm looking for really specific hires and really specific things. I was looking to make sure that all my email records and stuff like that were cleaned up so that my emails were getting delivered properly and all that stuff. Like, that's a very specific look or thing that I'm looking for. So I went to Upwork for that, and I found a guy, and he did it within a day. It was great. And then I got to move on.
I love Upwork too. And, it's a great place to look. And one of just adding to what you were saying about the testimonials, not only are they true, but I love it because it shows how many jobs they've done. And so if they've got a 5-star rating and they've only done one job, it's like, okay, good job on that one job.
Yeah.
But when they got a 5-star rating and they've done 100 jobs or 1,000 jobs, then you're getting someone good. And we've had so much success by choosing people to collaborate with that way, or to hire or whatever, because we know we're getting someone good. You can't fake that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, great suggestion. And we're going to make sure that there's a link, down below the video and in the podcast show notes. So definitely a great place to check things out. So I think great suggestion, Bri. Now, one of the parts of the show that we really like to do is it's kind of bring forth some recommendations in terms of personal growth. We're also focused on business growth and all of that, but we grow ourselves as well. So given the fact that our entrepreneur listeners have some big idea that they're trying to bring into the world and potentially world-changing stuff, if we want to make a couple of recommendations. So number one is like, who is the leader or expert or whatever that you find yourself listening to the most and has been the most inspirational or helpful along your journey?
Yeah, I have really honestly loved Elizabeth Gilbert. The way that she talks about the creative process and the way that she just talks about being a creative person in the world. Because let's be real, entrepreneurship is creativity in action. Like, it really truly is. And so yes, we can learn from business people and all sorts of stuff, but what I have learned from her about creativity and about the creative process and about the role of fear in creativity and all of those things has been probably the most beneficial and valuable insights and education that I have had during my 15 years of entrepreneurship.
Wow, I love that recommendation. And no other guest has recommended her yet. It's always like a business book or whatever. But Elizabeth Gilbert's awesome. And I had the good fortune of working on a project where she was the headline speaker, and just awesome. Got to know her content so much better. It was always just kind of like by word of mouth before, but then we got to know her so well. And just an amazing person to learn from. And I think so grounded she is. Like, she just, I think gets it. She's very in tune with her guidance as well.
Yeah.
And I think that fits really, really well. I love that. So we'll make sure that we link to her there as well. And she's got all sorts of books. But Bri,
I was going to say the one book of hers I would recommend, which is not my recommended book. We're still going to talk about
we're going to talk about that one.
But the book I would recommend that she's written is Big Magic. That's the one book that really helped me specifically around those topics of creativity and fear and just going out and doing big things in the world. So, yeah.
So Big Magic, we're going to link to that there. But now, so Bri, the time has come for the question. If there is that one book that you feel like all entrepreneurs should read on this journey, what is that book that you recommend?
So I spoiled it a little earlier, but it is The Alchemist. And the reason I recommend this book, it is not a business book. It is a personal journey book. And I read it once a year. And every single year, I learn something new in it. And like you mentioned earlier, something about like the resources we find along the way, or the things that we need and how they come into our lives. I think that book is just such a brilliant example of the journey that is entrepreneurship. When I got into entrepreneurship, I thought that there was some sort of destination and I would get there and then it would just be like wash, rinse, repeat for the rest of my days. And 7 years in, I can tell you that I'm still not there. And I don't think I'm ever going to be there. And so reading that book just really helps me. And it reminds me that, my treasure is often in a different place than I think it's going to be. And it also reminds me that the right resources and people and things are coming into my life at the right time. And that oftentimes the detours are actually me being on my path, not off my path. And there's just some really, really good, beautiful, not stories, but like elements in there that can help you as an entrepreneur kind of contextualize some of the things that you're going through. And again, learn all the business stuff. Yes, absolutely. But like also there's something about entrepreneurial development that I think is not talked about enough. And so that book really has helped me so much in my entrepreneurial journey, and just really understanding, like, even that car accident, that wasn't me being off my path. That was me being on my path. That was exactly what needed to happen for me to take the next step in my journey. And so I don't know, it just really has shifted my perspective about business and about entrepreneurship, and helps me just continue to get up every single day, especially on the days that I'm feeling a little worn down or just uninspired. And I recommend it to everyone.
Well, I really look forward to diving into that book, and just with you mentioning it, it's something I can no longer ignore, because I'll tell you that in the last 30 days, that's the 5th time that I've heard that book being mentioned, and different places. Like you just mentioned it here on a podcast interview. I saw it on I was watching something on Netflix, and they mentioned it in that program, and there's at least 2 or 3 different sources. I think I even overheard someone talking about it recently as well. So this is what we're talking about, the signs, right? The signs when the universe is trying to send you a message, it connects with you where you're giving your attention. So, right? And in different ways. It'd be one thing if like 5 different people that I've interviewed on this podcast said, "Oh, The Alchemist," I probably still would have paid attention to that and read it. But when you get it 5 different ways from 5 different sources inside of 30 days, that's a message, right?
So when you read it, please email me and let me know what you think of it, because I am deeply, deeply in love with that book. In fact, I just moved into a new house, and I was packing, leading up to the move, like weeks and weeks and weeks of packing. And that was one of like 3 books that I didn't pack, because I was like, if I have to go a month without this book and I decide that I want to read it, bad things are going to happen.
Good to know. So that's how important, right? And so for me, it would be, so my coffee maker is first, but then The Alchemist, right? So those will be the 2 most important things in my house.
Love it.
I'll definitely let you know. Bri, I think that's a wonderful recommendation. And, we've mentioned so many really useful things here, and I hope everyone's getting a lot out of it. So for those who are listening in and they're like, wow, I really like this Bri person, and I know she's like Google's #1 entrepreneur coach. She could really help me. Let everyone know where they can find you, and what can you do to help, and where do they find you?
Yeah, so I serve either new entrepreneurs or established entrepreneurs to basically kind of take that next step in their business, and really find and create the success that they're looking for, whatever that definition of success is for you. So the easiest way is, just like Chuck mentioned, go to Google and type in entrepreneur coach. You will see ads. I'm under the ads because I don't actually pay to be ranked. I'm just organically ranked. That's the easiest place. The other place, you can just go to my website, which is my name, briseeley.com. And my favorite place to hang out, if you'd actually like to talk with me, is on Instagram. So I always encourage people, shoot me a DM. I check my others folder regularly, and I love talking with people. So if you read The Alchemist or are reading it and want to chat it over, or have anything, insights from this episode, shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I'd love to chat.
Awesome. Maybe an alchemist study group that is in the future, right? And so, well, do let us know if you read that book as well, and we'll make sure that we connect all the dots here. That actually sounds like it would be a fun idea. So definitely check Bri out. We'll have all her information here beneath the video and in the show notes of the podcast episode, if that's where you're listening. And finally, Bri, thank you so much. I really thoroughly enjoyed this, and I know we could probably talk for another hour. I mean, it just flows so well, and so I look forward to our next conversation. But if we are going to sign this off and we are going to leave our audience with just one final piece of advice, one last word of wisdom, what would you say to them?
I would say that you know more than you think you do, and to trust yourself and use your intuition a little bit more. There's something to be said for hiring experts. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people hire me because I am an expert and I can help them. But I also, part of what I do is really encourage people to tap into their own power. So you have everything you need within you to find your buried treasure and to find your map to it. And I just really want to encourage people to take the time and space to cultivate that relationship, that collaborative relationship with themselves and the universe.
Well said. And I'm not going to add anything to that because it was so awesome. Bri, thank you so much. And to our listeners, whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on the podcast, thank you so much for being here. Go check out Bri and her website and reach out to her. All her contact information is here in the show notes. And then remember to join us back here for our next amazing interview. So until then, go out there, live your dreams, and be awesome.